All right, well, I bought a boat that was built in 1986 with the full intention of taking this thing to Alaska and points south, maybe Sea of Cortez and so forth. So I have been, over the last year or so, working on some of the modernization upgrades that I think are really the most vital and critical to operating this thing successfully and safely. And this time around, we're tackling the radar. Now, we do have radar on the boat. It's a Furuno system. It's up on the upper helm only, and it's got its own kind of dedicated little 6-inch display or whatever. We're just going to modernize it and upgrade it. And now that we've added some more, an additional Simrad multifunction display down here at the lower helm to match up to the one on the upper helm, those are hooked together with a network, and the radar can go into the network and be integrated into those displays so that as we're navigating, we can have the charts and the radar side by side or overlaid over the top of each other or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff that we gain by going through this, and so we're going to gain that stuff and go through this. All right, guys, the radar upgrade is underway. So here's what we've got. We are back here on the flybridge. This is our opening up here to get to where the bolts were in for the old radar. And that cable that we've just snipped off is the old cable to the old Furuno unit. And I've got it taken off already. It was cold up there, so didn't really film it, but I'd say that's about, what, a 10-inch thing, and we're going to 24-inch, so bigger's always better, yeah. Anyway, there's the old unit. It's off, and it does look like this is my anchor light, and I might have to move that, but everything else I think will clear just fine. I haven't set the new dome up there yet to see if for sure it's not going to clear, but I might have to move that or put a different pipe on it so it can come forward a little bit and then stand up. All right, well, here's what we're going to do. So that unit that is hanging here currently is our device that allows our GPS antenna and our VHS and AIS to share the same antenna. So there's an antenna going out through the side here, and it's going into that unit. Part of it is going to our AIS transmitter right up here, transceiver transmitter, and the other part is going to the radio that we installed downstairs. Up here we have our NMEA 2000 network backbone, and it's getting fairly big and sort of unsupported out here. And we do have a couple of pieces of wood that are kind of screwed to the base of the thing up here to hold everything up. What my plan is today is to build a new back panel for everything. I do have some wood, some of that birch plywood that I was using down in the galley, and so we're going to resituate this stuff so that's all mounted properly on one piece of wood, because we've also got our new Ethernet network cable or switch for the radar to plug into and the display units to plug into. So we're starting to get more than just one or two devices on the Ethernet network here on the navigation side of things, and so it's time to put a switch on here. So I need a place to mount that device, our backbone, and one more device, which is pretty good sized. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these units down and see if I can, I'm not sure how they're screwed in up top, but maybe my birch plywood will go right here and I can cut a bigger piece and mount everything up there. So that's the first part of this plan. And then obviously gonna run the vacuum through here and clean up stuff and seal a few holes, fill a few holes in and so forth, and just get this situated so that it's in much better shape. All right, well, hopefully you can hear me over the seals. They're over there on the rocks today and they're going after it, but at least they're not here on the docks with us as they were last season for a while. So far, not this year. Anyway, I've got a chunk of my birch plywood laying out here, and I've kind of just laid this stuff out. Here's what I'm thinking. The power indicators on all of these are on the same side. I don't see any indicators on our switch here, but the little slide-on screws are all the same direction in this instance. And then here's our NMEA NEMA backbone. I kind of wish that the power could be flipped the other way, but I checked, it cannot. But I'm kind of thinking maybe it will go along the top, and then that'll give us what we need. I'm going to give you a quick check-in on where we're at so far on putting this new board together. So let me just spin you around and I'll show you what we got. All right, so here we go. We got our board here, our network switch mounted, our AIS transceiver mounted, our antenna splitter mounted, our NEMA backbone mounted. Now I did add another board under here, a little 2 by 3/4 inch by 1.5 or something like that. And you're asking yourself, why did you do that, Don? Well, because you gotta put these things on by twisting, the threaded little thing together, and if it's flush against that backer board, then that would have been much more difficult to do those up. So there you go, making good progress. Well, I am temporarily pretty much functional here. I've just got loops in all my big long cables that all kind of situate better, but we're pretty close. The last thing I have to do is I just have to open this up and put connectors on it and bring that switched radar cable over here. So that one was switched down on the lower helm. There's a radar switch. So that's wired to this top hot and ground, so that's switched. This bottom 2 pairs here are always on, and you can see right now, well, I don't know if you can see it, but we got power to our splitter, power to our AIS, we have power to our network switch, and I had to get a longer NEMA cable for the VHS radio up here because it just had a little short one. But other than bringing that last power cable over and doing some connectors on it, this is done. The next step will be just mount the radar up on top. I just have to drill the holes, but I'm letting my epoxy cure up there from filling up the old holes. So probably drill those tomorrow and set that thing, and then it's ready up there. There's just a connector that screws onto the bottom of it, and then it's all wired into here. So here's our radar into the network switch, our upper NSS Simrad device, our multifunction display, and our lower one into the network. We've got 2 open ports for future stuff, and this is all fully configured and done. So I think this is all okay. Again, I'll tie down these cables and straighten up cabling a little bit further yet, but I wanted to get it to this point and kind of turn everything on, make sure that we're all good. So that's what we're going to do next, is just fire everything up, make sure everything's working with the exception of seeing the radar on the network. But other than that, we ought to be able to see both displays, should see each other and whatnot, and AIS should be able to give us tracking information on other boats. All right, well, it looks a little anticlimactic, I guess, but there is our functioning radar. We're down here on the lower helm station, and we've got this as well up top, working just fine. Yeah, just plugged in and worked, so I guess that's how it's supposed to go, right? All right, well, we're just finishing up here up on the upper helm station, so everything's perfectly fine here. If we put the chart and the radar, then we get those side by side. And if I change to this guy, I can zoom out. We are getting AIS vessels that are going to crash into us, according to this. And I think what they're doing is they're showing up on here when they're danger close. But yeah, so it went quite well, actually. This is our opening. I have not really tightened it down just yet. I wanted to make sure it was all working just fine. I do have my clamshell back on my cable here, so we'll snug these down a little bit for now. I'll probably pull them out individually and put some silicone on them, but good to close those up. I guess I should stick you up top for a minute and let you have a quick look at it. All right, well, one quick last look at the upper helm. So I did mount our rotary controller for our camera system, which is over here. I've just got a cover sitting on it, but I did put that right there because we had a hole there already that was a pretty big size hole. I had to make it a smidge bigger, but then I was able to use that for our controller. So if we tap it, you saw the drill, how this thing works. I've already done that. So all right, I am 99.9% done with this under the helm station work. So you've seen my board. We got extra cables. I don't know what else to do with them but coil them up, and my labels aren't staying on very well, so I bought some plain clear tape. I might be able to tape those over. This cable you see right here is the light, so that one's just temporary, but I do have 2 cables that are a little bit of a pain. One goes down to the autopilot or something like that. I don't remember what goes down there. Anyway, there's a couple of these that you just can't do anything with, but kind of done the best I can. You'll see the propane tanks are gone, and so we're no longer a propane filled boat. Now, I do have a power strip on the ground over there that's running the 2 B-Tronics displays. Those are 110 volt displays, or 110 volt adapters, like a transformer. But yeah, I think it looks okay. I put down this foam all the way across. So now things should slide in and out of here pretty well, which would be good because we have a ton of stuff to go in here. Not that much. And we freed up a lot of room over there by taking the propane tanks out. But, you know, I got 2 big containers of life jackets, and then I've got those totes that I filled up with, like, one's got all my electrical stuff, one's got all my paint related stuff. Those should just be able to slide in here now and kind of be nice and tucked up out of the way. And off we go. So we're going to call this job mostly done. This is one wire. This one wire hanging here is going up to our compass. And I believe what that is for a compass light. You know, it's got the little red light in there. So I'll probably want to get that to power. I got plenty of power over here. I have both switched power off my radar switch down on the lower helm, and then I've got non-switched power. So I could just bring that over here and tie it into switched power, and when we flip on the radar, we'd also get our our compass light. But yeah, here we go. So there's a few of these. Again, right now they're just kind of coiled up behind everything. So until I sort of figure out, you know, what to do with all this extra wire. I still have some stuff that's just got wire ties on, a big old loop, but everything should be just fine the way it's situated right now. So we are good to go. So I am going to start putting everything back in here, and then probably I got to head back to Salt Lake. So there we go. We're going to wrap this radar project for this trip